Tonight on CTV News at 6. They are called forever chemicals.
We're going to implement some groundwater remediation, and there will be several other phases, I suspect.
Residents in North Bay are given an update on the cleanup of PFAS. Greater access for francophones.
It really does kind of help just alleviate some of that stress, honestly, and it makes them feel really good.
We take you to a new health center in Timmins. And the city of Greater Sudbury donated the land.
This is to develop a home ownership opportunity through the Habitat mortgage model of zero down payment, zero interest.
Habitat for Humanity and the Lockerbie Legion are looking to help build a home for a veteran.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. So great to have you with us on this Thursday, November 20th. The province's Special Investigations Unit has launched a probe into an incident involving Manitoulin OPP. Ontario Provincial Police are confirming one person was taken into custody Friday after reports of a stolen vehicle. On Monday, that same individual, while in custody, required medical care. Investigators aren't disclosing what that extent was or the extent of the injuries. Anishinaabe police have charged 2 people with drug trafficking and other offenses in Constance Lake First Nation northwest of Hearst. $71,000 in crystal meth and oxycodone were seized Tuesday at a residence. A warrant was executed as part of an ongoing drug trafficking investigation. Police seized the drugs along with cash, ammunition, and trafficking paraphernalia. A 30-year-old woman and a 75-year-old man have been charged. Representatives from several agencies gave an update to residents in North Bay last night about the PFAS situation. They are man-made substances known as forever chemicals that were discovered nearly a decade ago. CTV's Eric Tashner reports.
The first phase of PFAS remediation work is complete. That from officials who say a little over 26,000 tons of contaminated soil was removed at the Jack Garland Airport.
Now we're moving on to our next phase.
The chemicals entered the property from firefighting foam used during training in the mid-1970s to the late 1990s. The foam seeped into the soil, moving through groundwater into Lees Creek. That waterway is connected to Trout Lake, the source of North Bay's drinking water supply.
We're going to implement some groundwater remediation, and there will be several other phases, I suspect. And this could be going on for years.
How much are you going to get? And what's the difference between getting 90% versus 70%? Is that a dollar difference, or is it a technical obstacle?
The city is preparing to conduct a pilot study for surface water remediation for stormwater management just south of the airport.
We take the surface water as it comes down out of the storm ditches and then flow it through the absorptive media and then release it back into the stormwater pond. It is treating and removing the PFAS, similar to like a Brita filter.
The health unit says it has been conducting studies into North Bay's kidney cancer rate compared to the Ontario population and 2 other Northern Ontario cities.
There was one 5-year period in which the city of North Bay did have higher kidney cancer rates.
City officials are asking for an additional $107 million from the federal government for ongoing remediation and to design and engineer the water treatment plant so that it can treat PFAS.
And that would go a long way to addressing impacts on the population in the future.
A proposed class action lawsuit is seeking $105 million in damage and punitive damage for property owners with private residential drinking water wells within a 3-kilometer radius of 22 Wing Canadian Forces Base. A long-standing drinking water advisory for Lees Creek remains in place. There's also an advisory for eating fish from the creek in place too. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Today marks Transgender Day of Remembrance, honoring transgender persons lost to violence. This week, we're featuring personal stories of longtime advocates who've worked to ensure trans voices are heard. CTV's Angela Gemmell has the story and a warning. This story deals with suicide.
Rita O'Link spent years struggling with thoughts she was the wrong gender. It wasn't until she was in her 50s she found relief. A revelation, she says, came after a desperate prayer.
You either take this away from me by the time I go to bed tonight, or show me there's something good in it. Well, I think we can see how God answered that prayer.
And for the last 20 years, she says she's been living as her true self, a woman. Early in her transition journey, she helped create TG Inner Cells, a peer support group for transgender persons across the Northeast, advocating for and supporting others. But resources were limited at that time.
It started very small. Next to nobody coming at first. Word of mouth needed to spread, and also trust needed to grow. There was no support, so we became the support.
Her struggle wasn't just one of identity or social pressure. As a spiritual person, she lacked a safe space to practice her faith. After being shut out by her previous congregation, she found a church family at Grace United Church. For the past 14 years, it's been her spiritual safe space.
They welcomed me in. I could attend either presenting as the male I used to present as, or come fully as myself with no restrictions. They were interested in my character and my integrity, not my presentation.
Rita says that spirituality has helped her when she's faced thoughts of suicide. She knows she has a greater purpose and hope. But Rita thinks a lot about those in the transgender community who've died by suicide.
What drove them to that? Society. All that discrimination, that oppression, that judgment. Can't see a path forward. Life is so hard to live. We just can't do it anymore.
November 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance, a time to honor transgender persons who've been murdered, died under suspicious circumstances, or by suicide. Rita will be thinking about one friend in particular.
Her name is Melissa. Not just was, is. Her spirit lives on. A vibrant, beautiful, fun person. She just couldn't take the discrimination anymore.
Rita sees discrimination and oppression growing, saying it's seeping into Canada from across the border.
What keeps me going is there's one other person out there that needs someone to stand up for them. I've been given the gift of being able to do that. It's a privilege. I want one other person to understand how wonderful they really are, and to keep them away from becoming a statistic in the Transgender Day of Remembrance.
To those struggling, Rita reminds them,
you are real. You are valid. The only way you can become a complete, whole person is to live who you truly are.
Angela Gamble, CTV News, Sudbury.
And a vigil is planned for 6:30 this evening at the main branch of the Greater Sudbury Library to mark Transgender Day of Remembrance. Shifting gears now, it's time for our first check on weather, and unsettled conditions are heading our way. With more on that, here's CTV's Rick Wyman.
Oh, you've got it, Tony. Unsettled weather between showers and, of course, rain, flurries, snow, drizzle. Let's throw it all in together into one pot. This is what we've got going in northeastern Ontario right now. As you can see, in green, you've got the rain, you've got the snow as well, that tinge of purple, and that's affecting the northeast for the next couple of days. And of course, we've got some sunny breaks as well. Then we revert back to flurries or sleet, and then more sunshine. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later on, some current temperatures and other stuff weather-wise, all coming up. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Rick. Services in their own language. Still to come on CTV News at 6. In Timmins, a new francophone community health center officially opens. And a Sudbury family is helping to raise money after their son needed surgery.
Ready to run with the pack? The Sudbury Wolves take on the Sarnia Sting Friday, December the 5th, and you could be in the stands. We're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to cheer on your favorite team. So, what are you waiting for? Enter now at CTVNewsNorthernOntario.ca and get ready to howl.
A brand new francophone community health center is now open in Timmins and serving over 1,700 French-speaking patients. The range of services is extensive, but most importantly, patients won't have to worry about whether or not they'll understand what the health professionals are telling them. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
It's modern, many services are offered, and the 22 employees who work here speak French. It's the Centre de Santé Communautaire de Timmins, and it's now officially open to receive patients.
We do have a primary care program or suite that offers primary care to our patients, and that entails physicians, nurse practitioners, RNs, social workers, dietitian, foot care nurse, and the list goes on. We also have the community development component, which entails a lot of the fall prevention programs.
Stevens is the center's executive director and adds programs for seniors and single moms are also available. 2 part-time physicians are on staff, and Stevens plans to recruit 2 more this summer. Access is granted to francophones who are not able to understand English.
So when they come in here and they could actually talk to us in French and we can have a very open and good communication in French, it really does kind of help just alleviate some of that stress, honestly, and it makes them feel really good.
The pediatric program is offered to all children from up to 5 years of age, and care is provided to English-speaking children in francophone families. Stevens says the vision for a francophone health center launched in 1988, but it wasn't until 6 years ago that francophones had somewhere to go. But services were offered at multiple locations, including one in the mall. This is the first building where everything is offered under one roof.
It took a village, and I'm very grateful to all the people that come together and help make this happen.
Club Richelieu is one group that believes in the vision. Today it donated $10,000 to the center. Stevens says people who need a doctor or a primary health care provider must add their name to the province's Healthcare Connect list. You can do that by visiting the province's website or by calling the center. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
Sioux Area Hospital has just introduced a new piece of equipment to offer non-invasive pain treatment. It is the first hospital in the world to use this technology. The Neurolizer XR high-intensity focused ultrasound has been in action for about 2 months, treating 11 patients with severe lower back pain related to spinal arthritis. The $76,000 machine is operated by locum doctors Michael Gofeld and Kevin Smith. They say the new technology has less room for error because it eliminates the risk of infection from needles and bleeding.
But when it works, the pain relief is instantaneous, right? And it may last somewhere between 6 months to 3 years. Okay? With radio frequencies, there is some period that people still feel pain, sometimes even more pain, just because the needles were inserted.
Dr. Gofeld adds that they are working to be able to use this technology for other arthritis-based pains. They're expecting to be allowed to work on knees in as little as 6 months. The North Shore Health Network wants to let area residents know about an emergency department closure tomorrow. The Thessalon site will be closed Friday, November 21st, reopening at 8 Saturday morning. Blind River, Richards Landing, and Sioux Area Hospital are all still open. Anyone with a medical emergency should call 911. A Sudbury family is hoping to raise important funds for SickKids Hospital in Toronto after their son needed skull surgery. CTV's Lindsay Alick has more.
Small heads, big hearts. It's the slogan for these shirts, which will see 100% of the proceeds going to the craniofacial program at SickKids.
We designed a little bunny riding on a motorcycle to kind of tell Harvey's journey, and it was a little nod in the design to show actually Harvey had head bandages that they made in rabbit ears.
Smith's son Harvey was diagnosed with sagittal craniosynostosis at 4.5 months old and was only given 1 week's notice to get the surgery done at SickKids.
We remove a strip of bone where the suture should be. It's like making a brand new suture. And the success of this technique relies on using a helmet to help shape the head as the head grows afterwards. One of the challenges in Ontario is the ADP doesn't cover this helmet.
Harvey needed 3 helmets during his 6 months of therapy post-surgery, and Smith says thankfully they were able to access funding through the craniofacial program to cover the cost. She adds that the program is 100% funded by donations.
We'd like to raise enough money to fund at least one helmet, so that's the $2,550 mark. So we're going to go as long as we can. We're hoping to submit in the early new year our donation. So we've had about 40 orders on our website.
Meantime, Dr. Forrest says it's critical that children receive the surgery as young as possible.
Unfortunately, sometimes we see the situation where the doctor says, oh, don't worry, it'll get better. And then it doesn't, and then they refer, and by then it's not too late to have surgery, but the operation is a much bigger operation.
Forrest says if you look at the province of Ontario, around 150,000 babies are born every year, and that SickKids sees on average 80 to 90 cases like this per year. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
Ontario Provincial Police and local police services across the north are launching their annual festive ride programs this week. From now until January 1st, police will be setting up spot checks, looking for impaired drivers. With holiday parties and get-togethers, police are reminding the public to have a safe, sober ride home plan before going out. CTV's Eric Tashner is at the festive ride launch event in North Bay tonight, and we'll have more at 11:30. As cold weather approaches, OPP are reminding people to check ice conditions before going out. Police have issued this graphic showing how thick the ice needs to safely go out on it, noting that anything 7 centimeters or less is unsafe. They recommend people looking to cross frozen waterways or set up for ice fishing test the ice before going out. Officers are also reminding people they should have ice picks, a throw rope, flotation suit, or life jacket, and a charged phone. Back now for a check on your current conditions. Once again, here's Rick.
Some mixed conditions, Tony. We have some conditions that indicate that there's snow falling in the northeast and a little bit of rain as well. We'll get to that momentarily. Our forecast radar, that system moving in. So again, you'll feel the effects this evening. So don't be surprised if you see a touch of snow on the ground by tomorrow morning. Here we go now with our currents. Let's begin in Moosonee as always. We've got some precipitation right now at -1. Cochrane as well, -5. Timmins at -4. Kapuskasing at -4 degrees. Moving on over to Chapleau, -4. Wawa 0. We've got fog in the Sioux at +1 this hour. Parry Sound down Highway 69, a few clouds and 3 degrees. Meanwhile, in North Bay, -3, mainly cloudy, some precipitation in Temiskaming Shores, and -1 in Kirkland Lake as well. 1 degree in Greater Sudbury, Espanola 0, Elliott Lake 0, and the Goose Eggs continue. Gore Bay mainly cloudy at 0. 7-day forecast time and your pick of the day all coming up.
Thanks, Rick. Road safety next on CTV News at 6. The province comes through with money for communities that had speed cameras. And Premier Ford introduces the Buy Ontario Act. The province has launched a Road Safety Initiatives Fund. In a release, the province says the fund supports proven traffic calming measures in school and community safety zones while keeping costs down for drivers. The government invested $210 million through the initiative. The one-time funding is provided to municipalities who use speed cameras and applied for the Road Safety Initiatives Fund. The city of Greater Sudbury is one of the cities that applied and received just over $500,000.
I would say this money is looking to target permanent solutions and locations where speed cameras were temporary measures until we could get to the permanent solutions. So what this funding will help us as a municipality do is accelerate the work we were anticipating doing over the years that are going to come using the revenues from automated speed enforcement.
Rocca says that the city expects the funding to come soon. He adds the city will build a work plan and present it to council in 2026 with recommendations for the funding. At Queen's Park today, Premier Doug Ford tabled the Buy Ontario Act. And as CTV's Siobhan Morse explains, the proposed legislation is in response to U.S. tariffs.
Whether it's patching up a road, building a new school,
or establishing a mass transit line. The Ford government wants to make sure Ontario materials and services are in the thick of things. A response to the U.S. tariffs still squeezing the economy and workers, the government's tabled the Buy Ontario Act.
Would require public sector organizations to give preference to Ontario or Canadian-made goods and services when making purchases.
It's Ontario first, Canada second. Goods from elsewhere will need to be justified. To start, the rules would apply to provincial ministries, agencies, the broader public sector, right down to school boards. Next, consultation with cities and towns.
Municipalities, for the most part, have been supportive, and I think we're going to see through the consultative process that they will be on board with this legislation.
There's an acknowledgement buying local could be more expensive, but Minister Crawford explains looking for the lowest ticket price doesn't always paint a full picture.
We know that when we spend money locally, we support our local businesses, we support our communities, so there will be a weighting that will actually be put down in terms of what's the supply chain benefit right here locally.
The opposition proposed something like this earlier this fall.
We're going to look very closely at it because this government before has proposed things like that, and then we found all kinds of loopholes.
Alberta and Quebec have similar policies, but there's worry about workers in other provinces making stuff for Ontario now.
And so you wouldn't want Buy Ontario to become an interprovincial barrier. So it's kind of counterintuitive. So that's why I'm saying the devil's in the details, right?
The goal is to compile a list of Ontario suppliers to draw from to take out some of the guesswork.
I can't tell you how many small and medium-sized businesses in Ontario tell me it is almost impossible to engage in procurement with the province of Ontario. So until they fix that, this is just a slogan and not a solution.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
As that legislation was tabled, a trade agreement has been reached between the provinces, territories, and the federal government that will bring down trade barriers within Canada. British Columbia's Minister of Jobs and Economic Growth announced the agreement, saying it marks the largest red tape reduction in Canada's history. Basically, the agreement boils down to if a good can be sold legally in one province or territory, it can be sold without any extra rules or approvals in other provinces.
It means more choices, competitive pricing, and some same trusted standards across the country. And for global investors and companies, we're talking about ease of doing business, reliable and high sustainable standards, and integrated supply chains.
The agreement will take effect next month and applies to thousands of products. However, it does not include food, beverages, tobacco, plants, and animals. Meanwhile, European countries are pushing back against a U.S.-backed peace plan for Ukraine that would reportedly force Kyiv to give up more land and partially disarm. Two sources told Reuters that Washington had signaled to Zelensky that Kyiv must accept a U.S.-drafted framework to end the war. European Union foreign ministers meeting in Brussels said they would not accept demands that would make punishing concessions. In Ukraine, Russia continues nightly bombardments, killing civilians and causing power outages as winter sets in. The Israeli military says it struck Hamas targets across Gaza yesterday, with the enclave's health authorities reporting 25 killed in airstrikes. A U.S. official told Reuters that Hamas was aiming to break the ceasefire and not fulfill its commitment to demilitarize, while Hamas condemned the strikes as a dangerous escalation. Israel and Hamas have traded blame for what both call violations of the U.S. brokered ceasefire in the first phase of U.S. President Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan for Gaza. And there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Rick.
It's all coming down, Tony. We've got mixed precipitation in northeastern Ontario in the form of flurries, some snow, some showers, some rain, and even drizzle thrown in for good measure. Forecast radar right now right through the northeast. This is what we're dealing with. This is what it's going to look like by tomorrow at around 4 and continuing through. We've got a bit of a break in the action with some sunny breaks and more stuff happening. This is around Santa Claus parade time on Saturday evening. I think we might catch a break or two. We'll keep a close eye on that. Rain, snow mix pretty well in Sudbury. Rain, drizzle, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins. Rain, snow mix, Temiskaming Shores and North Bay. More of the same. that rain-snow mix combination. Snow-rain mix in Moosonee, Kapuskasing-Hearst, snow-rain mix Wawa, chance of flurries, rain drizzle in Gore Bay and Perry Sound, more rain and drizzle. 7-day forecast, here we go. Sudbury, Nickel Belt, chance of sleet tomorrow at 40%, some sunny skies on Saturday. Sunday, we've got the chance of sleet again, back to the sunshine on Monday, and again Tuesday, Wednesday, chance of sleet at 60%. Couple of 2-degree days. In Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, chance of sleet for a couple of days for tomorrow and Saturday. We get a chance of showers Sunday. Monday, more sunshine than the chance of sleet. Moving on over to the chance of snow Tuesday and Wednesday, 4 and 2, your daytime highs. So you can see the variation in conditions and temperatures in the northeast. Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, chance of flurries for tomorrow. Sun and cloud Saturday, chance of flurries Sunday, more sun and cloud Monday. Tuesday, chance of flurries, and the chance of snow, a pretty good bet, at 70% by next Wednesday with a high of only 0. Let's have a look now at Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. Chance of sleet tomorrow at 40%. Sun and cloud Saturday. Sunday, we've got the chance of sleet once again. Monday, sun and cloud, a high of 2. Tuesday and, of course, Wednesday, flurries or snow. 60% chance of snow on Wednesday. And take a look at some of the temperatures. According to Environment Canada, you have 4 consecutive days, 5 consecutive days, 2-degree weather, except Saturday's -2 before it goes up to +2 for 4 days. Let's have a look at North Bay, West Nipissing now. Chance of sleet, 30% for tomorrow. Sunshine on Saturday. Sunday, chance of sleet. Monday, sunshine. And the chance of sleet Tuesday and Wednesday. A good bet here at 60%. Your highs for both days at around 2. And now, let's have a look at the pick of the day. One of my favorites, love the fox, Michel Chrétien from near North Bay. Got this red fox in focus, and Michelle, merci. I appreciate this one. I'm just a sucker for a good-looking fox. This is a red fox, foxy red. And again, thanks for that pick. Perhaps we'll run your pick tomorrow. Stick around. Tony has more news after the break.
The COVID pandemic caused widespread delays in housing construction, which impacted many major developments. Now that many projects are back on track, some homeowners are wondering when they'll get everything they were promised. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
George and Sands is a major development in Wasaga Beach that already has 570 homes, and there are plans to add another 900 over the next decade. Boris Tessel says following delays, he was able to move into his home 2 years ago. He is generally satisfied with the property, but says amenities he was promised when he purchased his home never materialized.
These are things that they used as a promotional for people like me or anybody who bought to buy this house. And now, after years, we still don't see any of it.
Tessel still has the sales brochures and the maps of the community showing family-friendly items that have yet to go ahead.
Here's where the baseball diamond for kids was supposed to be. Here's where the tennis courts were supposed to be and pickleball court was supposed to be. None of this stuff is here.
There were also plans for a retail area with shops and businesses, none of which has started. Outside Tessel's front door, there was supposed to be a golf clubhouse where he hoped to spend some time, but he says this huge pile of dirt has been there for more than 2 years. Tessel says there's been a lack of communication, and he just wants to know if the items promised will be built.
I want it to be done. We were promised something. I want to deliver it.
We went to the sales office for George and Sands, but there was no one there. We reached out to Elm Developments, and a spokesperson said, given recent economic headwinds, Elm Developments has faced unforeseen market conditions that require additional planning and timeline considerations. A future retail plaza remains part of the overall plan. CTV News also reached out to Tarion, which ensures builders meet standards set by the Ontario New Home Warranties Act. A spokesperson said Tarion's expectation is that a builder delivers what was included in the purchase agreement they made with their purchasers. Tessel believes the items promised should get done.
I fulfilled my end of the deal. They should fulfill their end of the deal. They got paid for it.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
With the cost of groceries continuing to dominate household financial worries right across the country, the ever-rising cost of food is eating away at already tight budgets. With more on that, here's CTV's John Venavali-Rao.
When it comes to attitudes towards food prices, the survey found they remain a top expense pressure for households.
My experience is they've been going up, 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 up.
The report finding many Canadians are increasingly challenged by persistent food inflation, and it's been changing how they shop, cook, and eat in order to cope.
Canadians are adopting frugal habits, like switching brands, looking for coupons, discounts when they're buying products.
The survey, in fact, finding almost half of the 3,000 respondents are seeking out more sales and discounts. Nearly a quarter are using more coupons and shopping at cheaper stores as they try to make ends meet.
But yeah, you can find deals and sales all the time.
With more than a quarter reporting they struggle to afford food, up from nearly 23% a year ago. Food banks have reported a huge surge in the number of families seeking help.
Nice to get it out there. Like, this is so good that people are talking about it.
Karina Roberts is a single mom with 3 boys who says she may need to start going to a food bank every 2 weeks.
They are helpful, but I mean, then again, sometimes they don't have everything either. And it's a lot of canned stuff. And that's great. It's awesome that there's that help, but there's not a lot of fresh. There's not a lot of meat. There's not a lot of fruit.
The survey found many Canadians are prioritizing eating at home to manage costs. And on average, respondents say they now pay $515 a month for household food, compared to under $500 in the spring, which is a modest increase. On that front, many do overestimate the rate of food inflation this year. Almost 1 in 3 believe prices have gone up more than 10% over the last year, nearly triple the actual amount. And while affordability is still a major issue, the survey also finding that Canadians are cautiously optimistic that food costs may somewhat stabilize in 2026. John Venavali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Habitat for Humanity is teaming up with the Lockerbie Legion in Sudbury to raise money to build a home for a veteran. The goal is to raise just over $450,000 with the help of the community. CTV's Alan Everson reports.
For Habitat for Humanity.
The Lockerbie Legion presents checks totaling over $10,000 towards the Habitat for Humanity Gateway North Veteran Project. The city sold land to the nonprofit organization for $5, where the house for a veteran will be built.
This is to develop a home ownership opportunity through the Habitat mortgage model of 0 down payment, 0 interest, so that we can offer a home for a veteran or veteran family in Sudbury with donated land from the city of Sudbury in support of the Lockerbie Legion to get a home built for a veteran, a well-deserving veteran.
And that's our primary goal, is to find those members of our community who have a desire or a want to support that veterans community, because we know you don't have to go too far to find out someone who has an aunt, uncle, brother, sister, grandmother, grandfather who fought or served in the military. So there's that linkage in Canada. It's deep-rooted in our history.
The land is on Melvin Street in the Donovan, and an affordable, accessible single-family home will be constructed. There will be a selection process for the veteran who will receive the home.
The selection process is a Habitat standard. It's a third-party removed, non-biased process that has a veteran family or individual that will qualify for the Habitat mortgage. There's a credit process, there's a whole background check and very obvious processes that are with any mortgage.
Officials with Habitat for Humanity say the initiative, Building Futures in Sudbury, represents the nonprofit's ongoing commitment to serving those who serve others. Ellen Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
Donations can be made online at habitatgatewaynorth.com, dropped off at the Restore on Armstrong Street or the Lockerbie Legion. Despite a drought most of the summer, to farmers' surprise, this year's Christmas tree crops are looking good. CTV's Emma Convey has more on the successful growing season.
Blue check. Colin Hughes and his team are grading their Christmas trees. Blue tags for premium, red next in line. To their surprise, it was a high-quality harvest.
We had a terrible dry summer, but our trees grew well, which was kind of strange. And the weatherman's been great to us this year during harvest season.
Hughes grows around 20 million trees across his 2,000 acres. Majority are balsam fir trees. They harvest about 10% annually, and he was worried how the drought would affect them.
Fresh cut trees coming off the lots was under 40%, 37, 38% moisture content. So we put the water right to those trees, and after they're in our yard for a couple of days, we actually got the moisture content up to 47 to 48% is where they need to be.
We've really recognized the health and the quality of the tree is quite strong, the balsam fir Christmas tree. And remarkably, these trees are looking fantastic this year.
Seedlings didn't stand much of a chance, many growers losing substantial numbers.
Those trees that we planted 4 years ago that we lost, those trees we planted 3 years ago and 2 years and so on, that's inventory that's now gone. So at some point in time, that will have an effect on the supply.
The growing season shaped up to be better than expected. For this business, supply hasn't been the problem, but more so demand when it comes to uncertainty with tariffs and international markets. The true test will be how many trees behind me will be gone by Christmas. Emma Convey, CTV News, New Ross, Nova Scotia.
It begins in just one day, still ahead on CTV News at 6. The puck drops on the PWHL season tomorrow, but one team is squabbling with the city over arena capacity.
Clothing provided by Laura, Melanie Lynn.
The PWHL kicks off their regular season this weekend. As the league expands and grows this season, one team says they won't go backwards as they square off with City Council about arena capacity. CTV's Dylan Dyson has that story.
It's atmospheres like this that the Ottawa Charge fear they'll lose.
The atmosphere is good and the stadium is full.
On Tuesday, the PWHL saying the team will not play at Lansdowne 2.0 after it was approved that the new venue would feature a smaller capacity than the current arena.
The financial, don't add up. Like they need a fan base and a good crowd in order to sustain operations. So I think the maths don't work.
Not a big fan of it. They need more seats. They need more people to show up. So cutting down the size of the arena is not going to help.
The new plan would see the arena have seats and standing room capacity of 6,600 people. The arena at TD Place currently has room for 8,500 people.
The plans for Lansdowne are not based on one team, one tenant, one user of the facility.
The city says it is in negotiations with the PWHL and the Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group to find a solution to keep the team in Ottawa.
You do have a team that's in a fledgling league that needs to worry about the bottom line and has every right to say, this doesn't meet our needs. It's just stunning that the city could be so tone deaf and want to proceed.
In the 2024-25 season, the Ottawa Charge had an average attendance of approximately 5,900 people, with its lowest single game attendance bringing in about 3,800 fans and its highest seeing over 7,800.
I don't understand why they don't make the extra 2,000 seats.
The city has said adding 2,000 seats could cost up to $100 million. The league saying it wants the Charge to stay in Ottawa, but will not go backwards, with every option on the table.
We heard from the PWHL during the Lansdowne debate. They came to a city committee. They told us that there was a way forward for the team in Ottawa.
It's not impossible that the Charge could leave. And if that happened in the early days of the league, that would not surprise me at all.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
In the OHL, the Subbury Wolves were on the ice last night looking to get pucks on net, and that they did. The Sudbury Wolves faced off against the Barrie Colts, outshooting the Colts 45-22, but only managing 2 goals on the night. The Colts get 3 unanswered goals in the third to give Barrie the 5-2 win. Tonight, the North Bay Battalion are the only Northern team on the ice. They play host to the London Knights at 7 p.m. Tonight in the NOJHL, the Greater Sudbury Cubs play host to the Iroquois Falls Storm at the Countryside Arena. Game time is 7:10. 2 new exhibitions are underway at the WKP Kennedy Gallery at the Capitol Centre in North Bay. And Gallery 1, Grave dans le Rivage, is by Marguerite Morin. It depicts landscapes, and the other is Deck the Walls, Holiday Art Sale in Gallery 2. There are more than 200 local pieces on display. And the Sudbury Food Bank received a donation today to help stock its shelves. Sandra Sharko of the Ukrainian Center in Sudbury handed over a $5,000 check to Dan Exelon of the Sudbury Food Bank. The money is in recognition of Holodomor, the famine genocide that occurred in Ukraine in 1932 and 1933. Hundreds of puppets, props, and memorabilia from the archives of Muppet creator Jim Henson were up for grabs. This marks the first time items from Henson's archives have hit the auction block. Some of the highlights include a pair of shoes worn by Miss Piggy, Muppets from Fraggle Rock, and props from the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. A collection of artwork by the late Carol Spinney will also be available. She was the puppeteer for the Sesame Street characters Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. And dozens of historic works of art once owned by the Hudson's Bay Company have sold at auction in Toronto.
Selling now at Heffel's, the Churchill, $1.3 million, and congratulations to your bidder, Sir Winston Churchill.
The piece that fetched the most money was an oil on canvas by former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. The 1935 piece, which shows women standing in the shade of palm trees in Morocco, was given to HBC by Churchill's wife. Its estimated value was between $400,000 to $600,000, but ended up selling at auction for $1.3 million.
It would be a shame if it was in a private collection somewhere and nobody is able to see it.
That's the great-granddaughter of Canadian artist Frederick Marlett Bell Smith, sharing her concerns with CTV News recently about another painting in the HBC collection, Bell Smith's 1894 painting, Lights of a City Street, which shows pedestrians and streetcars moving along on rainy Yonge and King Streets in Toronto, was valued between $100,000 and $150,000, but ended up selling for $575,000. If moviegoers follow the yellow brick road this weekend, the second Wicked film could break the year's box office record. David Daniel has that and more in tonight's Hollywood Report.
There's a house, and it's flying through the sky. I'm off to see the wizard.
A lot of people are off to see the wizard this weekend. Box office watchers predict Wicked for Good could debut with $150 million or more. That would soar past the first Wicked film, which opened with $112.5 million this same weekend last year. The follow-up could score the biggest debut of the year. A Minecraft movie opened with $162.8 million back in April.
This isn't the end of the line. Not for you.
Neither is being over 50. One battle after another leads the nominations for this year's Movies for Grown-Ups Awards with AARP. It's up for 8 awards, including Best Movie for Grown-Ups. Also up for the top prize, A House of Dynamite with 3 nominations, Sinners, which also received 3 nods, Train Dreams with 2 nominations, and Hamnet. The Movies for Grown-Ups Awards, honoring the year's best film and TV, celebrating the voices and stories of the 50-plus, takes place January 10th in Beverly Hills and airs on PBS in February. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Canadian homeowners behind on their mortgage payments has fallen for the first time in 3 years. Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation says the national mortgage delinquency rate was 0.22% in the second quarter. That's down from 0.23% in the first. However, the number of people in arrears still trended up in Ontario. Delinquencies in Toronto alone increased 60% from a year earlier. The health of the economy can often be gauged by looking at how much consumers spend and where they spend. Today, Walmart reported earnings and beat expectations. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more tonight.
Price-conscious consumers are helping to push sales up at Walmart. The retail giant reported $180 billion in revenue for its third quarter. That's a 6% improvement from the same period in 2024. Walmart says more customers are coming in and spending more when they do. Its online business is also growing. The company's doing so well, it is raising its sales forecast for the year. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to $70.93. West Texas Intermediate crude is down to $59 flat. Western Canadian Select down over $1.50 to 46.53, and the TSX sank 371 points, ending the day below 30,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold is up 50 cents, closing the day at $40.7847 US an ounce. Silver down 73 cents. Copper is up 2 cents, and nickel is down a dime, ending at $6.47 US a pound. And Rick is back now for one last look at your Friday weather.
Change for tomorrow, and again, we've got some precipitation moving into northeastern Ontario. Let's have a look at our conditions. Chance of sleet tomorrow at 40% in Sudbury, Nickel Belt, 3 degrees, 0 chance of flurries in Timmins. Sault Ste. Marie, chance of sleet as well at 4 degrees. Meanwhile, in North Bay, we've got 4 degrees, chance of sleet, chance of showers in Parry Sound, and the chance of sleet in Temiskaming Shores. Tony, back to you.
Thanks for that, Rick. And finally, some heartwarming news out of Sault Ste. Marie. You might remember Lee Sperry, the 6-year-old girl with cystic fibrosis and a host of other medical issues. She dreamed of one day being able to ride a bike with her older brother, and today that dream became a reality. Sporting a shirt that says, "Thank you for supporting my dream," the young girl poses with her new bicycle. Her family had to purchase something highly specialized to allow for oxygen tanks to fit smoothly. The upfront cost for the bike was believed to be $6,000, but modifying it to fit her needs was expected to more than double that price. A fundraiser raised more than $29,000, with the remaining funds going towards another upcoming dream. And CTV News will have more on this exciting development tomorrow night. And folks, that's CTV News at 6. I'm Tony Ryma. More news comes your way at 11:30 with Ian Campbell. Good night.